Hello there, everybody. Happy Higher Self Wednesday. My name is Karen White, and I am the author of this wonderful book, Changing the Game Plan. And this is a workbook of how I work the 12 steps through 4 sponsors with myself. And now this is the guideline that I use to work the steps with anyone that I sponsor. And I have probably in the last 34 years of being in this program worked the steps with maybe 1,000 people or more. So it's a great guideline. I just put it together. It took me 5 years to complete it and put it all into this wonderful book that is available for you right now on Amazon. So go out there and get it. It is a workbook. It's meant to work with your sponsor or a clergyman, like the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous says, with us, or a therapist or somebody, but it is meant to work with someone, not alone. It's broken up into more of the AA, non-anon, Al-Anon, non-anon, Nar-Anon, Narcotics Anonymous, Arlango, which is sponsor and sponsee. So the sponsee has a part and the sponsor has a part. And since I've done this book, you know what I'm doing? I'm doing the steps. So I decided to come out with Higher Self Wednesday, and on Wednesdays talk to you from 15 to 30 minutes about the steps. And so let's jump in. We're continuing on step 10 today. We're going to do a little bit something different. I'm going to mix it up a little bit. I am only working with 4 books, so if you're in any addictive program, I don't care what it is. It can be AA, Nar-Anon, Overeaters Anonymous, Stillers Anonymous, Dead Anonymous, Sex Anonymous, any anonymous program. I'm using the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the AA 12 and 12 because those are the original books that created all these steps. And if you're in the the non-anon programs, Al-Anon, Nar-Anon, any of the programs for the friends and families, I'm using the Al-Anon 12 and 12 and the ODAT. All 4 of these books I used, and I'm a double winner. I'm in both programs. I'm in an addictive program, and I'm in one of the non-programs as well. But no matter what program that you're in, we get our program from the Big Books of Alcoholics Anonymous. So whatever program you're in, you're going to have to read the Big Books of Alcoholics Anonymous because that's where our program came from. So let's jump in. Tell your friends about these Higher Self Wednesdays. If you have someone that you want them to learn about the steps in the program, this is a great way. Invite your friends. If you're working, do this at lunch. Put a headphone on. I'm totally teaching. Bring your books. Also, bring a journal that you can write things. This is a step study teaching session that I'm doing. So let's get started. First of all, I always say that one of the things that I always do with anybody that I sponsor is I make them to look up every single word that's in the step. And today, step 10 says continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Continue means to carry further in time, space, or development. Extend. To means towards. Take means to become. Personal means of or relating to the private aspect of a person's life. Inventory means to process let's start that again. Inventory means the process of making such a list, report, or record. And means along with, in addition to. When means at the time that. We means you. We're means we are. And I love all the we's, us, them, and all the steps, because that means we're no longer alone. Wrong means in a wrong manner mistakenly, or a wrong manner intentionally. Love that. In a wrong course or direction. Because sometimes with our wrongs, we do them intentionally, but we also do wrongs by mistake. So that's important. Promptly means carried out or performed without delay. Admitted means to grant to be real, valid, or true. Acknowledgement. It means used to refer to a critical situation. And you put them all together, and it means to carry into further time toward, to become, relating to a private aspect of my personal life, the process of making a list, a report, or a record, along with, in addition to, at the time that we are, in a wrong manner mistakenly, or in a wrong manner intentionally, carried out or performed without delay, to grant to be real, valid, or true, acknowledge, used to refer to a critical situation or circumstance. I think it's always good. These steps have been too important to my life for me not to understand what every single word of every single step means. So anytime that I coach you or I sponsor you, you do the definition of every single word in the step, because you need to know why Bill Wilson they use these certain, Dr. Bob used these certain words. They mean something. And as I go along, I'll be telling you important words, circle it, because those are words that you need to look up and just find the definition of what they mean. And then also, when you're doing your reading and you're going through all this stuff, you'll have your certain words that you call big words. So we're going to start today where we left off. We're going to kind of recap. We were in the Al-Anon. We're working on the non-programs today, but we're also going to jump back into the addictive programs. We're going to jump back into their literature after we get through this. So if you're in, like I said, Al-Anon or Nar-Anon, or if you just quit drinking and you're in a relationship, this really helps guide you through supporting you as far as your attitude and your sickness, which is from concerns and being overwhelmed by what someone else does, say, or speaks. Anyway, on page 63 of the Al-Anon 12 and 12, we're going to start where we left off, which is thinking it over. And it says, step 10 can be a detailed method of fulfillment. The ancient saying, know thyself. Big word, know thyself. Circle it. Would the self I want to know ever be uncaring, selfish, or condemning of others? If I feel there is something I ought to be sorry for, particularly if it results in hurting someone else, I will not try to avoid my responsibility by thinking I was right in what I did and they deserved it. I will keep in mind that I was not assigned to judge others. My views, even though deeply ingrained in me, need not be applied to anyone else. Whenever I decide I am in the wrong, I will be doing myself a good turn when I promptly admitted it. To think through the meaning of this step and how I can best put it into action, I can ask myself the following questions. 1. Did I set aside a little time each day for thinking about myself, my feelings about the people I live with and meet, and my behavior toward them? 2. and I'm saying 1, 2, but really there's dots here. Have I tried to be gentle and courteous toward others, especially those close to me? 3. Did I keep in mind that the authority I have over my children should be used with love and tenderness? Do I realize that this can make them more responsive to my guidance? 4. How do I feel when I let my temper explode and when I lash out at people without considering the consequences? Terrible. Have I wondered what I look like in a mirror while this is going on? I'm going to stop right here at 4 because this is very important. All of them are important, but I'm led to stop right here. I think it's in the big book. No, it's in the AA 12 and 12 that talks about this. It talks about at the level of drinking and when we don't drink. When we do something and we lash out, we don't consider the consequences of how we're going to feel about it. It always feels like it's what we're doing. We're going to feel good about it. But yet after we do it, we feel like, why did we do that? Why did we have to say that? What was the need that we had to say that for? And all that guilt and shame and condemnation comes in on us. That's why by the time we get here, and the 10th step is so important, because by now, working, remember, you're on step 10 and we're talking 10, but you work 1 through 9 to get to step 10. You cannot just start with step 10 working. You have to work the first 9 steps because it's a foundation to build up to these steps. And so it says, there's consequences. And I always felt the consequences. Even now, I think I did something a couple of days ago. And the moment I did it, I knew, why would you even do that? But, one thing that I've learned from working 1 through 9 is that there are signs that I know that someone's irritating me or I'm seeing something that's irritating and bothering me and that is pulling on me. I can feel things like I get like itchy, my neck gets kind of itchy for me, or I start, balling my hands. I have this thing that I do with my hands when I'm a little irritated. And I got that from working steps 1 through 9. When I got to 6 and 7, I started and seeing my character defects and looking at when I felt like that, what was I doing? I started to see that there was warning signs in the way that I was moving in my body that was letting me know, be careful, walk away. Think about it. Call your sponsor. Go to a meeting. Now, in a quick instance, the best thing to do is just walk away because it's nothing worse than somebody to do something to you first and then you do it and you take on all the consequences of that guilt and that shame because you know that no matter what they did, you shouldn't have said nothing to them anyway or did anything to them anyway. And it says, have I wondered what I look like in a mirror while this is going on? How do I feel when I learn that someone has made an unkind comment about me? How do I react? Do I ignore it? Do I lash out? Or do I try to forgive, knowing that I myself still have faults to overcome? What can I do to rid myself of personal prejudice about people I perceive to be different from me? Do I like myself better when I live and let live? Absolutely yes. I like myself better when I live and let live because, people have to experience their consequences for themselves. Now, today, because I have a program and I work steps 1 through 9, when I'm in relationships that are not good for me or not healthy for me, or people that are not healthy for me, that bring out things in me that I allowed them to bring out in me, I have the choice to not be around them today. And I choose that today. If I'm around somebody and they have a very explosive personality for me, and they're throwing up my faults, and they're not, they're just agitating all the time and demanding of me, and not the truth that comes from me and the true me, then I immediately take myself out of arenas like that and put myself around healthy people. And, because I've been around these rooms for so many years, I'm truly blessed because most of my friends are in these programs, and it gives us a chance to do a lot of talking back and forth, with each other. And it's nothing better than to have a bunch of 12-step friends, because you're always talking the program and always going through things in the program. And it's just a wonderful thing, going out to eat, talking, and everything. So it really helps. But I'm going to jump a little bit into the One Day at a Time Al-Anon book. This is Al-Anon's daily devotional book that they have. And I'm going to go to page 176, which is June 24th. And it says, in the steps which precede the 10th, in the steps 1 through 9, which precede the 10th, we have been dealing with the past, cleaning house, so to speak. We have searched the corners of memory for grievances to be adjusted by means of our new view of our role in life. By this time, that's the promises. And if you did not hear me talk about the promises, go back, I think, 2 videos, and I talk about the promises in step 10. It says, now, with step 10, this procedure becomes a daily ritual, a house cleaning that takes place in a nightly review of the day's happenings. Continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. If this step becomes a part of our daily life, there will be no backlog of guilt to worry about. And it says, we keep order as we go along. I love that because the promises tell us about that. And this step, if we do this step on a daily basis and just look at it, and by now you want to see this stuff. You want to correct stuff. When you get to 10, you don't want to feel the way that you used to feel anymore. You want to feel better about, about your day and the things that you do. You want to see yourself changing by now. And it says in today's reminder, the 10th step is essential to the Al-Anon promise. Let me start over. The 10th step is essential to the Al-Anon promise I make to myself to live one day at a time. Although I cannot expect to achieve perfection, I can observe my progress and enjoy the deep satisfaction it can bring me. It may have little obvious effect on my outward circumstances at first, but keeping myself receptive to the solution will guide me to them. Look to yourself. It is there that all your answers are found. And it's just a wonderful thing to know that no longer we don't have to feel like this. We don't have to go through it. We don't have to feel like we've been feeling. No longer. We have a program now. We have tools. As long as we work through these steps, we will find the knowledge that we need to be able to conquer our lives, to be able to live more peacefully, to be able to correct things. I always say, God is able to make my mistakes prosper. And the steps have shown me that time and time after again. And especially the 10th step, if I continue to take my inventory, and if I'm wrong, admit it. It doesn't make me weak anymore. Admitting that I'm wrong corrects it and makes me better. And I always say, and you'll hear me when I do steps 8 and 9. When you make those amends, it's very important not to say you're sorry. The word wrong is used for a reason. And I remember back in the days, when my days, Fonzie, the Happy Days used to be on, and Fonzie couldn't even say that word wrong. When he would say, he'd go, yeah. And I used to always laugh at that. But I understand why. When I say I'm sorry to you, it's just like, I'm sorry. Okay? No big deal. And then I do it again. I'm sorry. But when I have to tell you I was wrong and ask for your forgiveness, it corrects it. Because when I say I'm wrong, I can say to myself that I want to be better and I want to correct this behavior. Another thing, I don't want to keep doing this over and over and saying this. It's a very humbling experience to go to someone that maybe has done something to you first, and you have to make amends so that you can feel better and keep on your street and say that you're wrong and ask their forgiveness to correct the behavior that is inside of you, or that you did it first. It doesn't matter. It's just the word itself has strength to pull out the ability to make you want to be better. Let's jump into the AA 12 and 12. We haven't used that yet. I love the AA 12 and 12. Such a great book. Let's start with page 88 in the AA 12 and 12. Again, step 10 at the beginning, continue to take personal inventory. When we were wrong, promptly admitted it. It says, as we work the first 9 steps, one more time, the order 1 through 9, we prepare ourselves for the adventure of a new life. But when we approach step 10, we commence to put our AA way of living to practical use day by day, in fair weather or foul. Now remember, whenever you hear the word AA or Al-Anon, whatever program you're in, when we're working anything out of the big book on the AA 12 and 12, just put your program there. If you're in Al-Anon, you commence to the AA way of life in your Al-Anon program. Because remember, the AA way of life is in all of our programs. So we commence to, to work in it and to practice it on a day-by-day basis. And it says, then comes the acid test. Can we stay sober? If you're in another program, can you stay sober? If you're in Al-Anon or AA, can you stay sober? Sober-minded, can you stay sober? Sober ones all the way across. If you're in Overeaters Anonymous, can you stay sober? That means sober from not eating. If you're in Sex Anonymous, can you stay sober? Sober from not performing whatever you're doing there, or still in Anonymous, or any Anonymous program. You can use this. It says, can we stay sober? Keep in our emotional balance and live to good purpose under all conditions. Let's read that one more time. It says, then comes the acid test. Can we stay sober, keep an emotional balance, and live to good purpose under all circumstances? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. If we work this program and we work these steps, we come in these rooms, we get a sponsor, we work on ourselves, yes, we can. There's promises that go behind this. And it goes on to say, a continuous look at our assets and liabilities and a real desire to learn and grow by this means are necessary for us. It says, we alcoholics, remember, we Al-Anons, we Nar-Anons, we Overeaters, we Sex-Anons, whatever, whenever you see liquor, alcohol, or whatever, put your program there. It goes to say, we alcoholics have learned this the hard way. More experienced people, of course, in all times and places have practiced unsparing self-survey and criticism. For the wise have always known that no one can make much of this life until self-searching becomes a regular habit. Until he or she is able to admit and accept what he finds, and until he patiently and persistently tries to correct what is wrong. It says, and I love this because this paragraph here goes both sides really quick. It goes on the addictive side and it goes on the non-anon side. It says on here, it says, when a drink has when a drunk, when a drunk has a terrific hangover because he drank heavily yesterday, he cannot live well with himself today. But there is another kind of hangover which we all experience whether we're drinking or not. Do you see? This book, the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, the AA 12 and 12, this is where all of our programs come from. It goes on to say, but there is another kind of hangover which we all experience whether we drink or not. This is the emotional hangover, the direct results of yesterday's and sometimes today's excess of negative emotions. And it goes on to describe them: anger, fear, jealousy, and the like. And if whatever program that you're in, whether you're drinking or not or whatever, it says when you're in this, it's the emotional hangover. Especially if you do something and you know that you shouldn't be doing what you're doing and you do it anyway and you can't stop yourself and you become addicted to being codependent, you become addicted to being an overeater, you become addicted to drinking, you become addicted to controlling somewhere. It's emotional hangovers. I remember when I came in here, I was emotionally whooped. My emotions were, I felt like I had been in a socket. I was just like this. I was just emotionally whooped. It says, if we would live serenely today and tomorrow, we certainly need to eliminate these hangovers. If we would live serenely today and tomorrow, we certainly need to eliminate these hangovers. And it goes on to say, this does not mean the need to wander morbidly around in the past. It requires a mission and correction of errors now. Daily. Now. Our inventory enables us to settle with the past. When this is done, we are really able to leave it behind us. When our inventory is carefully taken and we have made peace with ourselves, the conviction follows that today's challenges can be met as they come. Oh, great people, there is just so much to learn on these steps, and maybe I'll do just a recording on just step 10 alone. I could be here for hours and hours teaching on this step. But the one thing that I want you to come out of here with, because today's our last day on step 10, we've been working on it all month, and we have completed it, is that it's not a bad thing when you look at yourself. And because if you are working the steps and you get to 10, yes, it's going to be bad if you jump into 10 right now and you just try to start taking an inventory. You're not going to be able to handle it. You have to work these steps in order, because there's the other things that you have to go through. You got to find your powerlessness. You've got to come to believe in something greater than you. You have to make a decision. You have to make a list. You have to do an inventory with someone else and confess yourself to stuff to yourself as well as God. Then you have to find out, your character defects, affects your character defects and what they are and how to use them and how not to use them and how to rid them. Then you got to make up for the things that you've done. You've got to be able to make it up financially. You got to be able to make it up spiritually. You got to make it up living. You got to make it up by making amends letters before you even get to this. So by the time you get to this, you have practiced so many things that have given you so much peace of mind. And you know that really and truly, if you're doing your inventory on a daily basis, it takes a couple of minutes, because really and truly, as you go along, you really know when you're wrong by this time. So as I'm correcting my wrongs during the day and I get to the end, if I'm doing this right, I've already corrected everything. And that's when I have an appreciation for this program and how it's molding me and how it's changing me and how it's making me a better person and a person that I like today. And most people like me as well. We're not perfect in this program. I still, have my days where I think I do things that I don't even think a person that's been here 33 years would do. But who am I to judge myself? I'm not perfect in this program, but what I do have is tools to fix everything, tools to help me live by, tools to correct things that I did, tools to help me change. I have tools. And for that, I am truly, truly grateful. So, you know what I'm going to say? Stay with your meetings, go to your meetings. There's meetings online, there's meetings everywhere now. Get a sponsor, work these steps, and continue to join me on Wednesdays for Higher Self Wednesday. And next week, we're going to jump into step 11. Thank you so very much for being with me today. I'm so grateful, and blessings over you today, great people.